What if I told you The Simpsons hasn't just predicted the future? They've lived it. Across its 30-plus years, the show has taken us decades ahead, revealing shocking romances, failed careers, broken friendships, and even zombie Milhouse. Today, we're breaking down every single Simpsons episode set in the future. 6 unforgettable glimpses into Springfield's fate. And it all begins at a Renaissance fair. With a wedding that never happens, it's 1995 in Springfield, and the Simpson family is spending the day at a bustling Renaissance fair. Homer? He's in heaven, devouring 8 different kinds of meat like it's a competitive sport. Lisa, on the other hand, is cringing in embarrassment and wanders off on her own. That's when she stumbles across something bizarre. Friar Wigham's Fantastical Beastarium, a so-called magical pet show with animals that look more meth than myth. But one oddball creature, a Nesquilax, basically a horse-rabbit hybrid, escapes into the forest. Lisa chases after it and ends up at a small, mysterious fortune-telling booth. At first, she's skeptical, until the fortune teller greets her by name and rattles off her entire family's whereabouts without missing a beat. Now hooked, Lisa sits down to hear about her first true love. The story jumps forward 15 years to the year 2010. Lisa's now 23 and attending university, where she's having a petty little library battle with a charming but annoyingly smug British student named Hugh Parkfield. Their bickering turns into flirting, which turns into romance, and before long they're inseparable. Hugh eventually invites Lisa to England to meet his parents, and everything about Parkfield Manor screams perfect. Perfect house, perfect manners, perfect proposal. Lisa says yes immediately, calling home the next day to share the news. Marge promises she'll keep Homer from ruining the wedding, if that's even possible. This is where we get our first hilarious glimpse of The Simpsons' future. Marge is still a housewife. Bart is a twice-divorced demolition expert thinking about law school. Maggie's a 16-year-old chatterbox, though she somehow never speaks on camera. And Homer, still working at the nuclear plant, now with Milhouse as his boss. Speaking of Milhouse, when he hears Lisa's engaged, he's crushed. Turns out she once told him she'd never marry anyone. So much for that promise. Lisa and Hugh head to Springfield, and Lisa's worst fears come true instantly. Bart and Homer accidentally set a British flag on fire, then fix it by stomping on it and burying it in compost. At dinner, Lisa leaves Hugh in Homer's care, which means Homer drags him to Moe's for a drink and hands over a family heirloom, a pair of cheap, pig-shaped cufflinks. Hugh reluctantly agrees to wear them on the big day. By the wedding morning, Lisa's managed to gather every something old, new, borrowed, and blue, including a lock of Marge's hair, but she catches Hugh not wearing the cufflinks. He finally admits the truth. After the wedding, he wants Lisa to move to England and cut ties with her family completely. Except maybe Marge. That's the deal breaker. Lisa calls off the wedding on the spot. Back in the present, the fortune teller finishes the story and reveals that Lisa never saw Hugh again. I specialize in happy endings. For other people, she says with a smirk. Lisa leaves the tent a little wiser and finds Homer waiting to tell her about his own day at the fair. She listens closely, realizing maybe her dad, flaws and all, is exactly the kind of family she could never give up. But as it turns out, Lisa isn't the only Simpson whose future is worth seeing. If Lisa's future was a romantic drama, Bart's is pure disaster comedy. It all starts with a simple family outing to the park. But instead of a relaxing afternoon, they're swarmed by a plague of mosquitoes. The Simpsons retreat fast, but on the drive home, something catches their eye. A flashy new Indian casino. Naturally, they stop to check it out. Bart tries to sneak in but gets caught by the casino manager. And instead of kicking him out, the guy decides to teach him a lesson. He sits Bart down and shows him a vision of what his life will look like 30 years from now. We jump ahead to 2030, and Bart's, well, not exactly thriving. He's 40 years old, broke, and crashing on Ralph Wiggum's couch. The two of them have a band called the Tequila Mockingbirds, but their music career is going absolutely nowhere. Ralph's paying the rent, covering the bills, and slowly losing patience with his freeloading best friend. Meanwhile, old-school bully Nelson Muntz has gone full entrepreneur, owning his own nightclub and even turning "Smell Ya Later" into Springfield's official goodbye. That's how bad the future's gotten. After Bart blows yet another gig by ripping off a Jimmy Buffett song, Ralph snaps and tells him to get his act together. But instead of finding a job, Bart decides to freeload somewhere nicer. The White House, because, oh yeah, Lisa is the President of the United States. She's making history as the first straight female president, and she's surrounded by a team that includes Milhouse, still hopelessly in love with her, and Kearney as her intimidating Secret Service agent. But the country she's running? It's a total mess. Thanks to the previous administration's well-meaning plan to invest in kids with free breakfasts and midnight basketball, America's younger generation is now a pack of sleep-deprived supercriminals. And on top of that, the nation's flat broke. They've even sold off landmarks to pay the bills. Lisa's plan to fix it, a huge tax hike. Bart's plan? Move into the White House, trash the place, and fly Ralph in on Marine One like it's an Uber. He even manages to hit Lisa with a frisbee during one of her speeches. But Bart really blows it when he interrupts her big tax announcement on live TV, plugging his band instead and accidentally forcing Lisa to admit the tax hike publicly. Her approval ratings nosedive overnight. Fed up, Lisa sends Bart on a mission to Camp David, which is really just her way of getting rid of him. But after a ghostly visit from Billy Carter, Bart finally has a wake-up call. For once, he wants to help. Back in the present day, America's in deep debt, and Lisa's negotiating with foreign creditors. Things go south until Bart steps in, using his lifetime of dodging debt collectors to strike a deal that saves the country. Lisa's so grateful she promises to legalize it, whatever it is. Bart doesn't care. He's just happy knowing that at least in one future, he gets to have his own band. But if you think that's as crazy as Bart's future gets, you haven't seen anything yet. If Bart to the future showed us a washed-up Bart and a powerful Lisa, future drama throws in time travel, sibling rivalry, and a breakup that stings harder than any schoolyard fight. It kicks off with Bart and Lisa bickering, nothing new, until their argument gets so heated they tumble into Professor Frink's basement. Frink greets them like he's been expecting them all along. Turns out his brand new astrology machine predicted they'd show up, and it can do more than tell your horoscope. It can show you your future. The screen lights up and suddenly it's 8 years later, right before Bart and Lisa finish high school. Lisa? She's on the fast track to success, graduating 2 years early with a ticket to Yale already in hand. She's agreed to go to prom with Milhouse, not out of love, but because he once saved her from a fire that he started. Bart's story is less academic. He's head over heels for a blonde girl named Jenda, and after prom he pops the question. But Jenda's not impressed. She says no, doubting he'll ever be able to take care of her. Ouch. Meanwhile, Marge and Homer aren't even together. Marge left after Homer blew the family savings on an underwater house. Homer's coping just fine though. He takes Bart out for a spin in his hover car, hoping to cheer him up. Bart eventually lands a delivery job at the Quick E-Mart, and during one run to Mr. Burns' mansion, he gets caught up in a robbery. Bart saves Burns' life, and as thanks, Burns gives him a full Yale scholarship. The twist? It's the exact scholarship Lisa was supposed to get. When graduation day comes, Lisa finds out the truth. She's furious, but Bart's convinced this will win Jenda back. And it works, for a while. Then Bart uses Frink's machine to see even further into the future, and what he sees is grim. Lisa's stuck in a loveless marriage with Milhouse, who's selling his bone marrow just to keep the lights on. Bart can't let that happen. He gives Lisa the scholarship back, knowing it'll cost him his shot with Jenda. And it does. Jenda dumps him on the spot, saying the only thing she's sure of is that she won't be in his future. Back in the present, Frink reassures Bart that he will find someone, exactly 1 minute before he dies at age 83. Comforting. Oh, and Homer? He wins Marge back by letting Krusty the Clown beat him up in public. Romantic in its own Springfield way. But if you thought The Simpsons' future was all heartbreak and lost love, just wait until we see what happens when Christmas rolls around. If The Simpsons has taught us anything, it's that no matter how much the world changes, the holidays are still chaotic. And Holidays of Future Past gives us 30 years of future Christmases in one wild episode. It begins right after Thanksgiving dinner, when Marge announces it's time for the annual family Christmas card photo. Bart and Lisa groan. They think the whole tradition is pointless, but Marge insists they'll thank her one day. From there, we jump through decades of holiday snapshots, and the future isn't what you'd expect. Lisa experiments with her love life in college, dates 3 different women, then eventually marries Milhouse and has a daughter named Zia. Maggie skyrockets to fame as the lead singer of a hit rock band. And Bart? Well, Bart flunks out of college and ends up living at home, until Marge and Homer finally kick him out at age 34. Fast forward to 2041 and Bart's living in a dingy apartment, still behind on rent. His landlord, or Principal Skinner, drops by to remind him, and Bart jokes he'll pay up when his kidney grows back. It's the kind of joke that feels uncomfortably real. Bart's sons arrive via teleportation, and he promises them the best Christmas ever. which really means dumping them at Marge's house. Unfortunately for him, the boys have inherited their mother's ability to read minds and call him out instantly. Over at Lisa's house, the mood isn't much better. Milhouse stumbles in and Zia storms past them, literally plugging herself into the internet and leaving her body slumped on the couch. Lisa vents about her daughter's attitude, and Milhouse casually suggests dropping Zia off at Marge's. Meanwhile in London, Maggie, now pregnant, is at the Benny Hilton for a checkup. Her bandmates are by her side, but the medbot warns her not to speak until the baby's born because her umbilical cord doubles as a vocal cord. Who the father is? Still a mystery. Back in Springfield, Lisa visits Marge looking for parenting advice. But Marge just offers her Christmas cookies, which Lisa takes as proof that her mom doesn't understand. She storms off, wine bottle in hand, to sulk in the backyard. That's when Bart invites her up to their old treehouse. For once, the two have a real heart-to-heart. Bart admits he's always looked up to Lisa, even wished he'd turned out more like her. The moment brings them closer, and Lisa leaves ready to make amends with Marge. By Christmas morning, the whole family is back together in true Simpsons fashion. Chaotic, but loving. Maggie arrives just in time, baby in arms, and when Grandpa asks about the father, she starts to answer, but he cuts her off. I don't think we'll ever see the day that Maggie speaks. The annual Christmas photo is taken, the credits roll, and for a moment, the future actually feels a little hopeful. But as we're about to see, the very next future holiday doesn't go quite so smoothly. If Holidays of Future Past showed us a warm, sentimental Christmas, Days of Future kicks down the door with pure Springfield chaos. It opens with Marge waking up to find the living room covered in empty pizza boxes. She follows the trail to the kitchen, where Homer is sprawled across the table in nothing but his underwear, groaning. Marge tells him it's time to start taking his health seriously. Homer nods, determined to turn his life around, then immediately has a heart attack on the stairs. The very next scene? His funeral. But don't worry, Professor Frink has it handled. He storms into the service, announcing he's cloned Homer. Turns out he was going to start with a sheep, but figured Homer was simpler. Of course, Homer's second chance goes exactly how you'd expect. We get a montage of Homer clones dying in the most ridiculous ways possible. One's eaten by a shark, another falls into a vat of lard, until Frink reveals Homer has officially used up all his clones through sheer stupidity. The backup plan? Frink downloaded Homer's memories onto a flash drive. He plugs it into a TV screen, and now Homer is just a talking head in the living room. Meanwhile, Bart is dealing with his own future mess. He's trying and failing to make it work with Jenda, his on-again, off-again love interest. They split and Bart bounces from relationship to relationship, even undergoing shock therapy to erase his feelings for her. It doesn't stick. Lisa's storyline takes a very weird turn when Milhouse gets bitten by a zombie while volunteering at a soup kitchen. Instead of panicking, Lisa's into it. Zombie Milhouse is suddenly braver, tougher, and Lisa isn't sure she wants him cured. Back on Bart's side, Jenda reappears after breaking up with her alien husband. Yes, alien. She and Bart give it another shot, but old habits die hard. Arguments flare, and Bart ends up at Moe's, where he finds Lisa, drowning her own frustrations over whether to keep Milhouse undead. Marge shows up to offer them both some marriage wisdom. When you make a decision with your heart, you stick with it, even if it means something insane like electrocuting yourself so you can live on as a talking head next to your zombie spouse. In the end, Dr. Hibbert finally cures Milhouse, and Lisa is almost disappointed to have her human husband back. Bart and Jenda split for good, and Bart finally admits it's time to move on. Then comes the final twist. Everything Bart just experienced was part of a neural implant therapy session. None of it happened. Back in reality, Homer now has a shiny new robot body, doing chores while Marge admires the upgrade. Bart jokes to Lisa that if things don't work out with Milhouse, he knows a place that can help. Lisa just smiles, still smitten with zombie Milhouse in her mind. But our last stop into the future of Springfield doesn't just show a few years ahead, it shows Bart's entire life. If the other future episodes gave us snapshots of Springfield years ahead, Barthood gives us the whole picture. Bart's life story from childhood to adulthood, with every win, loss, and messy moment in between. It begins with 6-year-old Bart lying in the grass with Homer, asking deep questions about nature. Homer answers by complaining about the toy cars Bart left on the stairs, the same ones that caused him to take a nasty fall. To give Homer a break, Marge takes Bart to Grandpa's house. There, Grandpa suddenly remembers he owns an old car from 1954, completely forgotten in the garage. Bart's eyes light up. and Grandpa shocks everyone by offering to let him drive it. Fast forward 2 years and Bart's still cruising around in that car, but not to school on time. While Lisa's showing off a serene boat painting that Marge praises, Bart reveals his own art project, turning the entire kitchen into a mural. Homer's reaction? Less than supportive. Still desperate to impress Lisa, Bart takes Homer's car for a spin and crashes straight through the kitchen wall. Worried about his behavior, Homer and Marge take Bart to a psychologist, who says Bart acts out because he feels neglected by his dad. Her advice? Father-son bonding time. Homer's version of that? Booking a comfy hotel room and watching sports while Bart sits there bored. Back home, Bart watches Lisa win yet another Student of the Month award, something he's never gotten in 2 years. And when Lisa announces her 48th consecutive win during Bart's 12th birthday party, he snaps, changes the cake's name to hers, and storms off to go skateboarding with Milhouse. At 15, Bart's mastered bike stunts. But when Marge and Lisa leave for camp, Homer leaves Bart home alone again. Bart throws a wild party, only to find Homer and Chief Wiggum high on pot in the living room. Later, Homer admits he was just like Bart as a kid, but had to grow up fast when Bart was born. They share a rare, heartfelt hug, ruined seconds later when Homer casually says he's not planning to change. Feeling like nothing will ever be different, Bart visits Grandpa's grave for inspiration and decides to enter a BMX competition. But during a stunt, he crashes badly and blacks out. When he wakes up, he learns Lisa saved his life and is being hailed as a hero. At a party afterward, Milhouse's parents start arguing, and Lisa cheers Milhouse up by kissing him on the cheek. Milhouse calls her the best thing about the party, and Bart feels overshadowed yet again. This time, Lisa finally calls him out. She's tired of being blamed for all his problems and reminds him he's a talented artist, even if he never uses that talent. This time, her words stick. 2 years later, Bart owns a bike customization shop, and when Lisa visits with Nelson, now her boyfriend, Bart shows them a giant mural of his life. At first, Lisa's not in it, but then Bart pulls down a shop door to reveal a massive painting dedicated to her, calling her one of his favorite sisters. It's the closest thing to a real truce they've ever had. From Lisa's almost wedding to Bart's washed-up band days to cloned Homers and zombie Milhouses, The Simpsons has taken us on 6 unforgettable trips into Springfield's future. And if these episodes prove anything, it's that no matter how much changes, the drama, chaos, and love in this family never will. So, after all this, one question remains. How many more times will The Simpsons jump forward in time? And when they do, will we even recognize Springfield? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of The Simpsons, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which of these futures you think could actually happen.